My mum, she will, of course, watch Nollywood films. For me, I didn't really find them entertaining at that age. So me, I said, I don't know what these are talking about at that age because my mum didn't teach me and my sister Yoruba at a young age. But the great thing that she did was send us to school in Nigeria. So we were able to pick up on it and develop our understanding of the language.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniella Ekundayo. I am the founder of In the Writer's Mind and your host of The Stars Behind the Stars. This series is your encyclopedia into music and fashion, and we will help you to discover and learn about the visionaries building the stars you see in the spotlight today. I am here with Ọláìtán Christian, who is a writer, director, a filmmaker. He has worked on commercials, he has worked on scripted documentaries for Channel 4, Netflix, and Nowness. And as well as doing all of that, he also works in the music world and has worked with several of your favorite musicians, including Central C, Burna Boy, Parsaloo. Like, I could just go on forever. Ola, it is such a pleasure to be sitting down here with you today.
Hello, Daniella. Thank you for having me. That was a great intro, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm actually glad, you know.
Yeah, that was
I have to
good.
remember everything because, like,
That was good. That was good.
your
Nice.
portfolio, your CV is massive. So I'm really happy to be sitting with you here today, and also just to explore what you've done in the TV, film, and music world. I was talking to my friend recently, and they asked me, what's a TV show that you just cannot forget about? And I said to them, Behind Her Eyes. I don't know if you've seen that show, but like, oh my gosh, it's such a good show.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
But the things I liked about it was the ending.
Okay.
And also just how strong the storyline is.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's kind of around lucid dreaming, I started Googling like lucid dreaming.
Where did you end up? Because that's an interesting thing.
I ended up in the bad place.
Yeah,
But what would you say, like, what's a TV show that you just can't forget about?
Ooh, oh my gosh, that's like asking me what my favorite food is. There's so many shows that I love. I can go on Game of Thrones because, you know, there's so many scenes in there that I just love. I love films and TV shows where the next scene, something happens that you didn't expect. So Game of Thrones is definitely up there for me. Suits is something that I love.
I love
It's
that
like one of my
show.
favorite TV shows of all time. Just seeing kind of the dynamic between a mentee, mentor, trying to navigate the workplace, which everyone can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a horrible boss, you have a boss that you get on with, you have someone that's trying to bring you down, you have someone that's trying to help you up as well. And the representation of people in there was quite good as well. And then like drama, like things like Top Boy, you know, sometimes it doesn't get its credit for whatever reason, but like watching that and just seeing the drama unfold is quite interesting. So I can go on for days. There's so many TV shows that I love and films that I love as well. Like I recently watched something called The Substance. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Oh, I haven't heard of it.
Nah, you haven't heard of it, we need to watch it. Yeah.
I'm going to go home.
Write that down, that's the whole one. But yeah, The Substance was really good because I think what's amazing is that when you go to cinema and you watch something that there's this kind of collective emotional feeling that everyone shares, especially when you're watching something that's like a horror/thriller. I think that feeling is so unique, and that's why cinemas for me will always kind of last, because you go to the cinema, you're going to expect this emotion and you're going to feel it, and then when you watch it, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that thing happened. So yeah, so The Substance was great. And Wicked as well.
Oh, I actually haven't seen Wicked.
You haven't seen Wicked?
I know, I was going to see it, but I didn't. Cut the camera.
Yeah, that Wicked is a great film as well that I watched recently. So yeah.
I definitely need to watch that.
Yeah.
And on the topic of shows, I was just thinking about like just your portfolio and everything that you've done. I find it so interesting how you move between the TV and film industry, the ad industry as well, and the music industry. And I was thinking about like music video directors. And I think when people think about music video directors, the old gen will say people like Spike Lee, Hype Williams, but then the new gen will say people like Cole Bennett and Karina Evans who worked on God's Plan. Like, who would you say has inspired, who or what has inspired like your love of visual storytelling through music?
Oof, that's a really, really good question. Through music, man, that's a good one. I would say Hype Williams, and he did a film called Belly as well, so I'm not sure if you've seen that. And I'll just never forget that scene where you have them walking through the club and it's all blue and you have the contact lenses in there. It just look cool. I just love that kind of really glossy, like really loud, elaborate, shiny look and feel on Black talent, because I feel like a lot of times people try to water it down. So when you go to the other side and you're able to kind of empower us visually, I think it's just such a beautiful thing. So being able to see that was really good. And like Spike Lee's an OG, like, you know, just the way he tells stories as well. Like he's definitely someone that I look up to as well. And the messaging behind his storytelling, there's always something there, you know, even in the titles, like Do the Right Thing, you know, there's always something there. But Hype Williams for me is like a real OG. Yeah.
I love that. And I love how you spoke about belly, because when I look at like conversations online, and especially about like lighting Black skin, a lot of people refer to like belly as kind of like a standard in terms of like lighting Black people, especially against blue light. Like that's like definitely a good reference.
Definitely a great reference. And another film that came out more recently, well, not super recently, but a few years ago, was Moonlight.
Ooh,
like if you watch Moonlight, you see how like they kind of depict Miami, the area in which they're in, Miami, I believe it was, and you see Mahershala Ali and how he's lit, and you know they keep on talking about the boys that look blue in the light, and just like the visual elements of that were just as beautiful as the storytelling elements of it. So you're watching it, you're magnetized, you're like, oh my God, what is this thing that I'm watching? And it touches on themes that sometimes people might find a bit uncomfortable, but you're in the story, you're in it, you know. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that know how to, we're getting a lot better at depicting Black skin tones on screen. And I think it's something that we need to be really conscious of. And the people that are around me are really conscious of that as well.
I love that. And we'll definitely get into the people around you a bit later in the interview. So something I wanted to ask you as well is, so obviously like you're Nigerian, I'm Nigerian. I love like having conversations with like people, British-Nigerian especially, just to see like what your upbringing was like as well. So for me, like my upbringing, I would say in terms of like what I was watching on TV was very varied. So I was watching the shows like Chewing Gum, then I was watching the shows like One on One, Half and Half, Girlfriends. But then I was also watching Nollywood when my mom would put that on DVD. So it's just like kind of a varied sort of experience of what Black people look like on TV from the diaspora. So I was just wondering like what your early childhood, or what your childhood and your early life was like, and also where that love for TV and film began.
Yeah, another great question. I agree with you. I feel like just being Nigerian, our upbringings are just so colorful. And it's just a wide spectrum of experiences that we experience from such a young age that kind of makes us so unique, and why you see so many successful Nigerians. Because of the way we're nurtured from a young age, I think it just prepares you for the real world in a way that's a bit unique. Your parents might be super strict or super funny, and you just have to learn how to deal with their personalities in a way. Luckily for me, when I was younger, my dad, he used to buy like these tapes and I'm not sure if you remember these black boxes where you had to put it. That's how I was showing them my age now, right? And the first two films that I watched were The Mask and Terminator. So Terminator was like a depiction of a man, strong guy, like typical, you know, strong guy, muscles, like running around, big bike, all of this stuff. And I thought that was quite cool at a young age. And then the other side was The Mask, where it was like this super charismatic, super funny guy. And I was just thinking, I like this. Like I really love this. So I drew a lot of inspiration from that. And that was my first time watching things, like thinking, oh my God, this is incredible. And then somehow I was in my room one day in this flat that we were staying at when I was young. I had a bunk bed, my sisters at the bottom, I'm at the top. And for whatever reason, we had cable in our room. I don't know how. We lived in a council flat, but we had cable, please. I don't know how we did that. Some people don't even know what cable is. But cable is like an older version of Sky. I just thought about it. I'll show you my age. Cable's like an older version of Sky. And for whatever reason, Lehane came up. And Lehane was like such a beautiful film. And I remember watching that, not understanding what they're saying because it's in French, but just feeling the environment that they're in and being able to relate to that. That was probably the tipping point for me in relation to seeing something that inspired me. My mum, she will, of course, watch Nollywood films. For me, I didn't really find them entertaining at that age. So be I said, my bad. I said, I don't know what these are talking about at that age, because my mum didn't teach me and my sister Yoruba at a young age. But the great thing that she did was send us to school in Nigeria. So we were able to pick up on it and develop our understanding of the language. I went private school there for 1 year. And then I came back to the country and it changed me. Like I went there 4 foot and I came back like 6 foot tall. So many things shifted like when I went to school in Nigeria. But yeah, I think I had a very vibrant, colorful upbringing. My parents at the time, especially my mom, she was working a lot. So it wasn't like she was like, oh, put on the TV, watch this thing. It was just more like, you're at home, figure it out. So if I wanted to watch Cartoon Network, I watch Cartoon Network. If I wanted to watch a movie, I watch a movie. So I had a bit of freedom and flexibility.
Something that I find like really interesting now is that some people will say that the TV shows and films that we have now are not as good as what we were having like kind of in the 90s period, the early 2000s period. Mm-hmm. Something that I will say that I do like, especially on streaming services like Netflix, is where you have those categories where it's like Nollywood or South African like reality TV shows and films. What would you say, like what's your kind of opinion on the current level of diversity of shows that streaming services like Netflix, for instance, have?
I would say that there's a wide spectrum of shows because you got to imagine these streaming services, these SVOD platforms, their job is to kind of review what people are watching, what makes the subscribers subscribe to their platforms. So for them, diversity of content is super important. They have to kind of tick boxes in different areas. And Netflix are notorious for really being super analytical. They have their own algorithm and systems and metrics that they use to determine, okay, this person's gonna like this because they're from this demographic in this area, this region, their friends do this thing. Like it's a tech company at its heart, you know, but they just have a great culture that they've been able to manifest. In terms of the quality of content, the quality of TV shows and films, I would say back in the day, I wouldn't say the quality has dwindled. I feel the way we consume content has shifted. So back in the day, you had to wait for a certain time to watch a certain TV show. 6:30 p.m, you go home, you put it on whatever channel you put it on. Everyone's kind of watching it at the same time. If you missed it, you missed it. Unless you had Sky Plus or something, you could rewind it. But if you missed it, you missed it. So you could talk about shows. You can call your friend afterwards and be like, oh my God, did you watch the latest episode of My Wife and Kids? Did you watch the latest thing in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Whereas now, you can go online and just consume a whole series in one day and just binge watch it. And sometimes that means the gratification that you get from watching a show is not appreciated as much because you haven't had to earn each episode. You haven't had to earn each character as much. It's almost like I can just watch everything now, just make a judgment. Instead of kind of marinating in the quality of the show and like watching it knowing that if I don't give this show my full attention, I'm not gonna see it again for maybe a month or maybe 6 weeks, you know, or this episode, should I say. Whereas now on these SVOD platforms, you can just kind of watch it. I missed it. Let me go on my phone quickly. Go on TikTok. Oh, I missed that part. Let me scroll back. You know, the level of focus and attention on each episode has kind of shifted. So I feel the quality of the shows are just as good, in my opinion. Maybe the messaging has changed. Whereas back in the day, one-on-one, My Wife and Kids, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there was something that you could take from that. It was very wholesome, very family, very sitcom. You can watch it with your parents. They can laugh, you can laugh. Whereas now, you might sit down and watch a baby reindeer with your parents and it might not be something that they're into. You get what I mean? Or Game of Thrones, it might not be something that they're into, but there's still great shows in their own right. So yeah, I think just consumers' behavior patterns have shifted just because of how social media has developed and how tech has developed. I think that's the more pressing thing.
That's actually such a great synopsis of like just how the industry has evolved. And I really love, like, especially when you made that comparison, like Baby Reindeer. I would not watch that show, but that show was amazing though. I loved that show. It
was incredible.
So I did ask you to bring a sentimental item with you.
Yes.
So you brought this picture.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through this image of this beautiful woman?
Oh yeah, so yeah, this is my mom, my Madre. Yeah, I love her so much, man. Like, she's just so incredible. She raised me and my sister more or less by herself really, really well. She's always kind of taught me and her like values that I've maintained to this day. like spiritually, just how to maintain relationships and build relationships with people. She's the most hardworking person I know. You know, I'm sure like a lot of people's parents here have worked in the NHS or worked those type of jobs before, and she's one of those. You know, having to work her way up, you know, having to listen to people talk to her a certain type of way, treat her a certain type of way at work. But what she did was keep her focused, knowing that she had a bigger objective. And for me, that's the most inspirational person in my life. And she will continue to inspire me. Everything that I do, like a lot of things that I do are purely for her and being able to reward her for what she's done for me and my sister. And like, yeah, like some people be like, oh, you're mommy's boy. I don't care, call me whatever you want. Like, I love that lady so much. And yeah, just grateful, like so grateful. So I carry her with me everywhere. So this photo, why it's so small is because it's at the back of my phone. So if I lose my phone, I'll be a bit upset because I lost the picture.
You have to get a copy.
I have to get another copy, right? But yeah, she's just super special to me. So I like to keep her around because as a Nigerian person, you know, like, you know, a mother's prayer and like a mother's blessing is just something so unique. So that's something that I hold dear and I value a lot. And just her teaching me how to love Black women as well and value Black women is super important, because a lot of them do so much for Black men. And a lot of us Black men sometimes can take it for granted. We stand on the shoulders of great women. And in Nigerian families, it's usually the women that run the show, really and truly. That's my person, and that's what I love.
Wow, I love that whole explanation.
Yeah.
That's really lovely, and thank you for bringing your sentimental item too. Yeah. And it's just really like nice to hear like the influences behind what you do, and just your mom kind of being a real focal point and driver for you, and especially like hearing your background and where you came from, and like the fact that you've done so much. It just makes this an even more inspiring experience. Yeah. I'd also just love to go into like the work you've done in the music industry, specifically like working on music videos for the likes of Central C, Burna Boy, Gets, like so many people. Could you talk us through like how you got into that part of the industry, and also just like how much creative freedom and control you have when it comes to like helping to bring an artist's vision to life? Yeah, so I think the music industry is so interesting in the UK, especially 5-6 years ago during the rise of like drill, and you know, like a lot of artists were coming out and labels were funding their projects. I feel we have a lot of talent over here, number one. The music video scene is a very collaborative process. You have directors that create great treatments, and then you'll take those to commissioners and be like, we want to shoot this video for this person. But some of the artists that we've been able to work with, whether that's through castings or doing the production for their videos, it's just been incredible. Burna Boy is like one of my favorite artists. Like I just love his music. Like I always have, even before he became commercial. So when I had the opportunity to work across his projects for the African Giant album, I was just like, this is like a dream come true for me. You know, I'm able to kind of, you know, see the creative. I'm able to kind of put people in the music videos that I want to kind of celebrate as well. So that was incredible. Central C as well, when he was on a come up, and like understanding like the value of this guy and seeing how talented he is and how calm he was like in scenarios was really, really interesting. And then people like Shay Universe, like we did one of her, she's incredible. Such a talented woman. And seeing her, like we did a music video for her, I can't remember when it was, but maybe about 6 years ago. With a great team of people, you can just see the talent and hunger in her. She just needed that opportunity to break through, and then I think she did like an NPR session that was so good. And now like you can see like the elevation in her career and her getting the flowers that she deserves, because she's so talented, so beautiful. We've been able to work that space really well. In terms of how I got in, there's a guy that, you know, when I started LEVILE, me and him were, you know, working on building LEVILE together, and he's like my right hand. Like we still collaborate together to this day. And he had a music video opportunity for me to come and work on. He's like, yo, like, I know you know a lot of people. We need a lot of talent for this project. And I was just like, sure, like what's the budget? Like, how can I help? And then I managed to sort it out. Very last minute. It was like a lot of pressure. It was like basically next day that we had to kind of do this thing. And then, managed to get it done. And then from there, it was like, okay, you're in. And then I kind of got to see how this world operates. And we just kind of snowballed from there and just kept on working, because people liked the work that we did. They were like, oh my God, we need to call these people. Worked on
different projects from H to WizKid. We worked on WizKid's videos. We worked on so many different people that we worked on, and it's been a blessing and beautiful to be able to do that.
I love how you've been able to work with artists that are based in the UK, but also based globally as well, especially like West African artists like Burna Boy. So obviously like the music industry is different to the TV and film industry. And I kind of wanted you to talk about how you got into the TV and film industry and just kind of the differences in the work that you do there, because obviously like you're a director, you're a filmmaker, and you're doing those roles, but for two different industries. How is that different?
Yeah, so like what I would say is that the music industry moves a lot quicker. It's like someone can make a song yesterday and then they could be shooting a video next week. Whereas as in the TV and film industry, you're not going to write a script yesterday and then be shooting it next week on a big broadcast. It's just not really going to happen unless you're in a soap like EastEnders, where sometimes the script changes so quickly. Like it could be like you're shooting one thing one week and you've read the script, but you go to the next week and it's like, nope, the whole thing's changed. They've decided to do a complete redraft. And then in the TV space, you've also got the unscripted. So it could be like reality shows, you know, game shows and different things like entertainment formats as well. There's different sides of the TV industry. So that the unscripted moves a bit quicker. If you're trying to make a TV show, you can be in development for maybe 3 or 4 years. It took Rapman some time to get Supercell off the ground. Even though people knew it was a great idea, there's a process that you just have to follow. And if someone breaks it down this way, to make a film, like a film is usually an hour and a half. If you're making a TV show, if each episode is 1 hour, you're essentially making 8 to 10 films at a time. So it takes a lot more time to get that thing over the line, you know, a lot more sign-offs, a lot more people involved in that process, a lot more money as well. So yeah, the process in TV, especially narrative, can take some time. Unscripted can move a bit quicker. But I love both. Me, especially someone like myself who's writing my own projects now and getting into that scripted space and unscripted space. Like it's really fun to kind of see what that process is like. It can be a bit long-winded at times. It can be a bit like, oh my gosh, I have to send it here, I have to have this meeting with this person, but it's part of the game and you just have to enjoy that journey as well whilst you're nourishing and nurturing your projects.
I love how you spoke about the commissioning side as well and how long it takes to get some ideas through in the development stage. What would you say are some of the issues that the TV and film industry is facing in terms of commissioning shows and also casting talent?
In terms of commissioning shows, I think the one issue that we have is a lack of representation with the decision makers or the commissioners. There's not enough people that look like us to maybe understand our stories the same way. So you can tell someone your story and they might not be able to receive it the right way because they don't understand your experiences. But if you had someone that looked like you or came from your background, they may be able to vouch for you in a different way and be like, no, I actually understand what this person is trying to say. So then what could happen is that commissioners maybe in the UK, this is not for all, this is just some, by the way. I don't want to get good, don't come for me. Commissioners, I want to work with you. So some commissioners may not understand it the same way. But what you're seeing is that there's a lot of initiatives where they're trying to learn. There's a lot of DEI stuff, like, which is cool. You know, there's some things that work well, there's some things that don't, which we all know. I think the key things are re-education on understanding that people come from different backgrounds. People want to hear different stories. Look at Michaela Cole, Chewing Gum, I May Destroy You. These are all from a Black woman's lens. They were great stories. Queenie, Champion, Dreaming. There's so many shows that came out that have won BAFTAs that actors get recognized in. And I think it's really important. And from a talent perspective, sometimes we challenging for actors because there's not enough roles. If Black shows are not being commissioned frequently enough, you might not see the representation in the shows to a high degree. So, for example, you could be on a great show, but there might only be one Black talent on there that's in a prominent role. Whereas you could be on a show that's a new show and there's a plethora of roles for Black talent. And Black talent from all different types of backgrounds, not just the conventional ones that we grew up watching on TV, you know. So it's important to see the dark-skinned women on screen. We want to see them also in romantic and comedic jobs instead of just angry black woman. We don't want to see that all the time. We want to see layers. We want to see the flaws in characters. We want to see them being three-dimensional. I think that's where we start to see growth. And someone like Michaela Cole's done really well with being able to convince people of her stories and then depicting it in a great way so they're well received. It's really important for us to create shows that transcend color lines. So like we tell our stories, but everyone can watch them because we all go through love, heartbreak, pain, struggle, work. All of us can relate to those things. And those are all themes that are common amongst all ethnicities. So yeah, I think that's really important.
So that was a very insightful answer, especially what you spoke about in terms of representation. So I was reading an article on Adweek, and it said that in terms of the Super Bowl 59 ads, that almost 70% of them were like dominated by like white men. And it's actually increased. So like, I believe it was like, in 2024, it was 64%, and then the year before it was 62%. And I feel like it was such an interesting article to read, especially given the times of the Trump administration and the kind of rolling back on diversity, inclusion, and equity and equality. So I just kind of wanted to get your perception on that and just what you feel is happening at the moment and how it can affect the TV and film industry, and whether you think we're going to see a ripple effect in the UK kind of creative scene, the TV and film scene as well.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting that you say that. Like the Super Bowl is a massive event, right? Like in terms of advertising, everybody wants to advertise there, but are they advertising to the majority that are tuning in? Have they really looked at the figures and understood like, wow, they have a lot of people from the global majority background that are paying attention to these ads? For me, it's hard to determine what the ripple effect will be with the current administration in America. What we do know is that when Hollywood is good, from what I know, the ripple effect tends to have a positive effect in other territories. For me, especially the UK. And the reason why is because it's a lot cheaper to film in the UK than it is in Hollywood. So a lot of production companies, there's a lot of American films that have been shot in the UK. So when I first got into the industry, one of the first projects that I worked on was The Legend of Tarzan, which was filmed at Warner Brothers Studios. And I'm there doing a photo shoot with Alex Skarsgård and Margot Robbie, when Margot Robbie was kind of on her ascendancy. And then you got Jamon Honsu there. You've also, I'm just there looking around thinking like, oh my God. Samuel L. Jackson as well. Wow. He's coming in with his big charismatic energy, like just taking over the room. And I'm just thinking, wow, like all these people are here. At this time I was probably maybe like 24, 23 years old. And I was asking questions like, oh my God, like why are they filming here? Like what's the reason? They can easily do this in America. Why have they come to England to film this? And yeah, it's because of the financial benefits of filming here. There's certain like things you can get away with here, where in America they may tax more. There's certain elements of the filmmaking process that is just a lot more expensive. So yeah, there's many shows. Even Tyler Perry, he filmed a major part of his latest film with Netflix over here.
That's actually very interesting, and I feel like you touched on something that's kind of happening at the moment. I can't remember what film or show, but I remember seeing a post on Instagram, and it was about a film or show that is basically like based in America, but it was being filmed, I think, in Canary Wharf. And I was like, huh? What the hell is going on here?
The math is not mathing.
Literally. No, but I love that perspective. Like, it's really, this is why we do this series, because we want to give people that insider perspective into what's happening in the industry. So thank you for sharing that.
No, you're welcome.
And alongside everything else that you do, you also have a production and casting company called LEVILE. Can you talk a bit about that, why you started that, and also just how you feel it's kind of filling a gap in the market?
Yeah, so I started LEVILE in 2015, 2016. The whole purpose of me doing that was to kind of see people that look like me and you on screen more often, and behind the camera as well, which now you got a beautiful representation of a production crew here, which is amazing. Yeah, so for me, there was that big issue when I was acting. So when I was doing the stuff with like Legend of Tarzan and stuff, I was just looking around thinking, I'm not really seeing many of my peers, you know, being afforded or having the knowledge about these opportunities. And I'll be thinking, why? Like, what's the platform that people go to kind of be like, oh, there's this opportunity, or you can do this here, or you can build this network and connect with these people. I didn't really see that exist for TV and film. I just saw that for music with like Link Up TV, GRM Daily, SBT. You had those music platforms, but not film. So yeah, I just thought, okay, you know, entrepreneurial spirit, Nigerian mindset. Thought, let me just give it a shot and try and help the people around me, my sideways network. And then when I started it, one of the first campaigns that we did was with JD and Nike for like a commercial thing for the Vapor Max 2s. And when I saw that opportunity to kind of put people that I know in front of camera, pay them really well, and have fun, and it weren't stressful, I was just like, oh, I might as well continue to do this. And then us doing that, Nike, JD, two big names, people were just thinking, oh my God, who's this new company? These guys have made it. I'm just thinking, no, we just got started. That came through a relationship that I had through acting.
Wow.
So we were able to kind of build on that and snowball that, and then platform other people. People were coming in to shoot their monologues. We were doing headshots. Twitter was popping at the time, which is now X. And yeah, you're laughing because
questionable platform.
Exactly, I agree. It's a naughty platform. But yeah, so people were showcasing their materials and stuff that we're shooting with us online. So it was like a snowball effect. So we started to build an online community, which then led to us being like, oh, okay, let's partner up with a company. O2 partnered up with us. We started to do events, bringing these people. First event had 50, next event had 70, next one had 100, went up to 150. Then we partnered up with Red Bull. Things just continued to just snowball. And then lockdown happened, boom, which was interesting because events stopped. So we kind of stopped engaging with people. But we still try to keep the online thing alive. So we're doing competitions for actors, like accent challenges, and, you know, send us your best, like, show reel, we'll give you £50 or something, just to keep people engaged. So for me, the whole purpose of LEVILE was to always kind of elevate. The reason why it's called LEVILE is because it means the city. LEVILE in French means the city, the village. It's a play on the word level. So to kind of level up people. So for me, I always just wanted to do that and use the platform for that reason, which we've been able to do, which has been a blessing.
That's so interesting. Do you know what I loved in that explanation where you spoke about how you built up your clients? Because something that I've realized in working for creative agencies and stuff is that word of mouth is such a great way of building clients. And also just kind of doing a good job. Like customer satisfaction is really important because then people will tell people about you, and that's kind of like how you build up your business. So it's good to hear like how it kind of like spiraled in that kind of good sense for you.
Yeah.
Something that I was like really curious about, because I worked for like creative agencies and stuff, and something I was saying to you, obviously, like I was talking to you before, and I said like something that's really important, I feel like, for people is that before you start your own business, you have to work in other companies in different departments to understand like how a business is run, and that's like so essential. And I think in my past experience working for creative agencies, I've seen that actually like a creative agency can be like full service and offer all these different things, you know, whether it's like helping with e-commerce or marketing or video production, you know, or even like the commissioning side. And obviously you do a lot of different things within your company. How are you able to kind of like manage the workflow and kind of like manage all the things that you do? Yeah,
no, it's a great question. And to kind of add my personal story in there, before I started LEVILE, I was interning at a place called Latimer Group, which was an agency that, you know, kind of focused on, it was youth-led. They brought in like a lot of talented young people. A lot of the people that were in my cohort are doing incredible things now. I was able to kind of see an intern there. I wasn't getting paid anything, if anything at all, but I was just seeing how they operate. How do they create teams? How do they lead a campaign? How do they run a campaign? How do they communicate with clients? How do they deal with conflicts? How do they, you know, appeal to a demographic that the founders of the company don't look like anything like the people that they're trying to appeal to. But how do they communicate? They use young people as a method or a conduit to communicate with them. Seeing that and being in that environment really helped me understand what I needed to do for my company. I think it's important what you're saying to work in these spaces, because you learn how to operate functions. So there's, like you're saying, there's different departments. Like you need to have people who have expertise running these functions once you get to a certain level. At first, the main thing is just to get started. And it is important to work somewhere, but if you weren't able to work somewhere, you have an idea, maybe try and put people around you who have worked in those spaces. And I definitely feel there's a lot of value in that. So for me, it's about delegation, finding the best people to run those departments, and then kind of being hands off to trust them enough and empower them to go and do what they need to do. Because as a business owner, you can't do everything. If you get to that point where you're trying to run a full service agency, you're the graphic designer, you're the admin person, you're the person that's on set, it's just going to be a mess and the quality will dwindle.
Yeah.
So it's about, number one, finding a great team of people. 2, if they've got expertise in that thing, amazing. 3, trust them to deliver in that thing because you've employed them. And if there is any issues, learn how to handle it appropriately.
I love that. I love that answer. And I also kind of just want to talk a bit more about the TV and film industry, because something I find just kind of really interesting is that my friend, she's an actor, and she always tells me about the TV and film industry and just kind of how competitive it is. And then also kind of having a lot of A-list stars being in Netflix shows, but then also kind of being in theater as well. And it's just kind of there's so much competition in the industry, but then when you think about it, people aren't watching TV that much anymore. They're watching streaming services. So there's competition from that side. And then on top of that, people are basically citizen journalists. So TikTok is so popular, the creator economy is blooming. There's just so many different kind of areas that are kind of competing against the TV and film industry. Could you talk a bit about how you think the creator economy has affected the TV and film?
Yeah, so the boom of the creator economy has kind of shifted things. And I think a lot of people haven't actually realized this. They haven't actually stepped back and took a bird's eye view and thought, people spending time on TikTok and Instagram means they're spending less time watching TV.
Yeah.
But then when we talk about TV, are we talking about the actual physical object of the TV? Because if we're talking about TV, I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV.
Yeah, same.
Still technically watching TV. YouTube can be considered a TV channel, really. You go on there, you look for the stuff you want. It will suggest the right things that you want to see. I can watch sports on there. I can watch something around film. I can watch a film. I can learn something. So, I think we just have to kind of understand how things have shifted and how you have content creators who are now becoming celebrities.
Yeah.
Whereas before you had actors who were like, oh my God, this actor, oh my God, I love them. And that still happens. But you have content creators that on a day-to-day, people might be more excited to see them. And these people are creating incredible things on their phones that are short, digestible. They can watch at work quickly and show your colleague. You can't really watch Game of Thrones quickly and show your colleague. And be like, oh my God, look what happened in this 12-second clip in Game of Thrones. It's not the same. So I think people need to kind of understand that shift and how it's affected presenting, or presenters, should I say, how it's affected actors. Because now content creators are now being booked for roles on TV shows and films because maybe they have a following. And then a company who's thinking, oh, how can I maximize engagement or people to come and see my product? They'll be like, oh, maybe if we get them, they'll bring this audience in. So that's the other side of the TV and film world that's kind of shifted, that people have not really cottoned onto. So what I say to that is, in my opinion, everyone's different. You don't have to do this. You can be very covert and exclusive in how you are as a person, and that can work perfectly fine for you. There's something sexy in that. Then there's the other side of building your personal brand, so you create leverage. So if you're an actor now and you want to be seen in more things, and maybe you have talents or more strings to your bow than just your typical actor. Maybe you can sing, dance, you're funny, If people can see that, they might be thinking, oh my God, this person's funny. I want to put them in this project. I feel people just need to look at the tools around them and see how they can benefit from the creator economy growing. It's growing exponentially. So be part of it instead of kind of looking at it and be like, oh my God, I don't want anything to do with it. Just like AI is coming into play.
Yeah.
See how you can use AI in your favor instead of being angry and upset that AI is here, oh, it's going to take jobs. No, be someone who's smart and knows how to use it to their advantage. That's what I would say to people.
That's a really good answer. And I love how you spoke about creators essentially being celebrities. I feel like that's such a kind of ongoing conversation, because even like with the Met Gala as well, you see like a lot of like creators being invited to the Met Gala, and that kind of almost being a bit of a controversial topic for people, and like, why is so and so there?
It frustrates so many people, because you'll see like a content creator who might be known for doing silly things online, which is fine. We can everyone in life needs to laugh at something, but you might have an actor who's been slaving for years, lands a great role, absolutely kills the performance, but they're not invited to Met Galas, they're not invited to the Oscars, they're not invited to the BAFTAs. But this kid or person who has created content online and it's a bit funny gets invited to these spaces, when actors who want the recognition are not invited there because they don't have the same following as a content creator. So it's a bit of a weird place, but I just say to people, you just have to adapt, or just understand what your goals are in life, and then when you know what you really want to achieve, you'll be happy with that. It might not even be to go to the Oscars. Maybe you just want to act and be a working actor, and that's enough for you, you know?
So we'll say I do spend like quite a bit of time on TikTok, because I just, for my work as well, but also I just find like TikTok to be like a really good place to like discover new talent and to discover things, to find things. It's almost kind of like a video Google in a sense. And there's someone who's on TikTok who I really like, called Wisdom K. I hope I'm saying his name right, but he's kind of like a creator, and he kind of styles himself, and he'll style himself like based on like different characters or themes or kind of like periods of time. And like his content, even though it's like short and fast and snappy, like it tells a story. And I love that like content can do that even in such a short space of time. But obviously, like with that being said, and obviously people's attention spans getting shorter, like the TV and film industry has to kind of like take this into consideration, like when they're making like shows and films. Do you feel like social media has like impacted the TV and film industry in this way, in terms of like storytelling?
Yes, kind of.
Why do you say that?
So what you tend to find now, and if any of you want to do some homework, when you go and watch a Netflix show, drama, you will see in the first 10 seconds or minute, 10 seconds to a minute, there's some sort of like busyness. Because they want to make sure that you're roped in. So I feel like that's a method that they've used, because they probably realized when doing their metrics and checks and assessing everything, they probably looked and thought, oh, we retain people when they see this type of drama or action at the beginning of our shows, because it lets them know that, oh my gosh, there's something exciting that's going to happen here. Because they're competing with the short form content that you're saying. And some of these people are great storytellers. They'll tell a great story in 30 seconds or 15 seconds. And you're thinking, wow, that was amazing. I think these platforms are starting to cotton onto that, and then using that in how they tell stories, or the opening sequence, which is the most important part of anything that you watch, to kind of keep people there. So yes, I feel like these platforms are taken from studying these TikTok creators and people on there, and taking it and using it and applying it to these SVOD platforms. For sure.
Very interesting.
Sure.
As you were talking, and when you're talking about the first few seconds of a video, like the hook, I was actually just thought of like Diary of a CEO and Stephen Bartlett, and like his intros and how it's really fast paced. Like you see all the video effects, but also like the conversation. It's like the most shocking or hooking part is at the beginning. I find that's like such a kind of like recurring thing that a lot of platforms like use, but I also see it in TV as well. And then you have like kind of like a coming up bit, so that people know what to look forward to as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, I love that you touched on that, and like just kind of like the role that audience retention plays when it comes to actually making content as well. And
the other side of that, I'll add to that as well, is that some, so for example, if a film is being shown in one territory versus another, so say now Nigeria versus China, the type of poster they will have will change now. Whereas before, it might just be one poster that's going around. Now they might think, oh, to this audience, they would like to see these type of faces. To this audience, they might not want to see that many faces. They might only want to see one. And they really go into the details of understanding what would make someone go and press click to go and watch that thing. So they really, really, really study every aspect of their marketing and see how effective they can make it. So yeah, that's important to me.
It's just a bit random, but I just from what you were saying, it just made me think about just the differences in like TV and YouTube especially. So like, obviously YouTube has this kind of A/B testing tool where you can like test thumbnails and stuff, but people can like see a thumbnail and then from the thumbnail kind of decide whether they want to watch it. But then when you have Netflix, kind of like, obviously they do have the kind of rotating like thumbnail and kind of advertisement for that. But it's just interesting that there's so many different ways to kind of test content or test like kind of like the marketing assets that you use to advertise content. I was just thinking about it as you were talking as well.
Yeah, it's true. But a lot of these SVOD platforms have taken that from the YouTubes. Do you understand? They just don't speak about it, you know, and the audiences don't really cotton onto it because you just want to be sold something. It's like, oh, I like that poster, I'll never click on it and watch it. But the next time there might be something different and you're like, oh, this one's actually better, you know, and then you're clicking on it quicker. And and I promise you, all of these platforms are noting these things down, you know, so yeah.
Something that I love to like ask people is the question, what would you like your legacy to be and what are your hopes for the future? The reason I ask this question is because I just feel like, you know, years from now, like you can look back at this interview and say, oh, I spoke about this, or I did this, I did that. And then another kind of aspect to that question that I want to add is like, what would you want your magnum opus to be? And I ask that question because when I think about Issa Rae is like one of my biggest inspirations. When I think about her, a lot of people like will point to like Insecure as almost kind of like her magnum opus. And then even like with Michaela Cole, I mean, I was thinking, okay, maybe it was Chewing Gum, but then now I'm like, actually, it might be I May Destroy You. So yeah, like what would you, is there a project that you haven't yet made? Or something that you're working on?
Definitely.
That you would want to be your magnum opus?
100%. There is a project that I'm working on. Really dear to me. I've written already. And it's going through a process. So yeah, I think that would be mine. And yeah, it's really deep. It gives a perspective that I personally feel hasn't really been seen on TV before, from a black male's lens. I think there's something there that's going to be really special. And yeah, when I watch this back in 5 years, I'll send you the link. I mean, I watch this. So writing is a big passion of mine, something that I've always wanted to do, and I took it up, and I'm really starting to see it. I'm starting to see like a lot of progress in that area. So yeah, that's what mine is. And my legacy, like, what would I want that to be? I just want people to remember me for helping others and giving. You know, like I feel like when you give, you get your blessings back. You know. And I've always been the type to encourage people and support people, whilst also like wanting to progress myself and continue to elevate, learn, take on new skills, work on exciting projects. That for me is what I want my legacy to be. Yeah. Remember Big Ola for helping people. That's it.
We will. Well, Ola, thank you so much for just being here. The knowledge and insight you shared has been invaluable to me, but I know it will be invaluable to everyone who watches this video. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Daniella. Thank you.
Load up spot.